Ladies, let's have a real conversation. You gave your heart, you showed your soft side, you opened the door to your soul. And suddenly he pulls away, no calls, no texts, no warmth, just silence. It hurts. It confuses you. You wonder what you did wrong, but hear me when I say this. You did nothing wrong by loving. You did nothing wrong by feeling. The problem was never your heart. It was where you placed it. See, I've seen this too many times, and I've lived through it too. A woman finally lets her guard down, she allows someone into her world, and just when she starts feeling safe, he starts drifting. Why? Because not every man is built to hold the weight of a real connection. Some men chase the thrill, not the substance. They crave the chase, not the commitment. They enjoy your mystery, but run from your vulnerability. But darling, you are not a mystery to be solved. You are a universe to be explored. If a man loses interest when you show your soul, that man was never ready to truly see you, and that's not your failure. It's his. We live in a world where emotional depth is often treated like a weakness. But strength isn't in hiding your emotions. Strength is in owning them. A woman who is emotionally connected is powerful. She's rare. She's real, and yes, she's intimidating. You see, when you become emotionally attached, you stop being a game and start becoming a mirror. You reflect back what they may not be ready to face. Your clarity reveals their confusion. Your loyalty highlights their instability. Your depth exposes their shallowness. That's why they run. Not because you're too much, but because they are not enough. But I want you to remember this. Your love is a gift. Your emotions are not a burden. You're not asking for too much by wanting someone who stays, who supports, who sees you in your fullness and doesn't flinch. The right man. He won't lose interest when you become emotionally attached. He'll honor it. He'll rise to meet you. He'll see your heart and say, finally, someone real. So don't shrink. Don't apologize. Don't beg someone to stay who couldn't even handle the blessing that is you. Instead, rise, learn, evolve, because the woman who gives her heart honestly is the woman who wins in the end. Let them lose interest, but never lose yourself. In a world that often praises detachment and emotional control, showing vulnerability is frequently misunderstood as weakness. But the truth is, there's unmatched power in the ability to feel deeply and express those feelings without shame. When a woman opens her heart and becomes emotionally attached, she isn't exposing a flaw, she's demonstrating strength. It takes courage to allow someone into your soul. It takes confidence to say, this is me, this is what I feel. And it takes immense inner power to love openly in a world that encourages us to hide. Too many people confuse emotional vulnerability with desperation. They see a woman who cares and assume she's clingy. They see a woman who expresses her feelings and label her as needy. But what they fail to realize is that real love, lasting love, the kind of love that transforms lives, it begins with vulnerability. When you give someone a piece of your heart, you're not surrendering power, you're exercising it. You're choosing to trust, to believe, and to hope. And that is one of the boldest things a person can do. Being emotionally attached doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're human. You are not robotic. You are not made of stone. You were created with a heart that feels and a spirit that connects. There is nothing shameful about that. The problem arises when society teaches women to tone it down, to pretend they're okay with casual, to act like they don't care, just so they can be less intimidating. But that's not living, that's surviving. And women were not born just to survive. They were born to thrive, to love, to give, and to receive. When a woman shows her emotional side, she's inviting someone into a sacred space. If the person she invites doesn't recognize the value of that invitation, it doesn't mean she made a mistake, it means he wasn't worthy of that access. The ability to love wholeheartedly is not something to be hidden, it's something to be honored. And if the world hasn't told you this already, let me say it now. You are not too emotional, you are not too intense, you are not too loving. You are exactly as you should be, and your emotional depth is not a flaw, it's your magic. So never apologize for caring. Never silence your emotions to keep someone comfortable. Your vulnerability is your superpower, and any man who can't see that simply isn't ready for a woman like you. There's a pattern many women have come to recognize. Everything starts off strong. The man is attentive, consistent, full of energy. He texts good morning, plans dates, tells you how special you are. You begin to believe this might actually be something real, but then, slowly, things change. His responses become shorter, the excitement fades, and suddenly, you're the only one still invested. What happened, the truth is, some men are not in love with you asterisk. They are in love with the chase. They thrive off the thrill of pursuit, the excitement of the unknown, the game of trying to win. You over, but once they feel they've won, their interest fades because it was never about building something meaningful. It was about the adrenaline of the chase. This kind of man finds satisfaction in the idea of conquest. He enjoys the process of trying to win your heart, but once he senses emotional attachment, once he knows you're emotionally invested, he no longer feels the urgency to try. For him, the high is gone. The mystery dissolves, and in his eyes, the excitement disappears. But that's not because you did something wrong or became less attractive. It's because his motivation was never rooted in genuine connection. It was rooted in validation, ego, and temporary pleasure. When a woman gives her heart to a man who only wanted the chase, she often starts questioning herself. She wonders if she was too available, too emotional, too eager, but none of that is true. The problem lies in the man who was never emotionally mature enough to see the beauty in the bond that follows the chase. Real love begins asterisk after asterisk the pursuit, not during it. It begins when two people choose to stay, grow, and deepen their understanding of each other. But not every man is built for that kind of journey. A man who is addicted to the thrill of pursuit doesn't want depth. He wants distraction. He's running from his own emotional emptiness, and the chase gives him temporary purpose. Once the chase is over, he's forced to face himself, and often, that's when he runs. But you are not a prize to be won and forgotten. You are a person worthy of real presence, commitment, and emotional consistency. So, if a man loses interest after you let your guard down, don't take it personally. Recognize it as a redirection, not a rejection. You deserve someone who sees past the thrill and chooses the beauty of staying. When a woman becomes emotionally attached, something profound happens. She stops being just an image, a fantasy, or an idea. She becomes a real person with depth, thoughts, emotions, and expectations. And in that moment, she no longer plays into the illusion of casual connection. Instead, she reflects back to the man who she truly is, and in doing so, reveals who he really is. Emotional attachment has a way of turning the spotlight inward. It holds up a mirror, and not everyone is ready to face their own reflection. A man who seemed confident during the chase may suddenly feel exposed when confronted with genuine love, sincerity, and vulnerability. This mirror effect is powerful. When a woman expresses care, consistency, and emotional clarity, it silently asks, "Can you meet me here?" And if a man isn't emotionally secure or mature, that question can feel threatening. He may begin to feel inadequate, pressured, or overwhelmed. Not because the woman has done anything wrong, but because her emotional presence uncovers his emotional absence. Her openness highlights his guardedness. Her depth reveals his avoidance. Her commitment magnifies his fear of responsibility. At first, he might not even realize what's happening. He may start pulling away without understanding why. He may convince himself that the chemistry is gone, that something feels off, or that he needs space. But deep down, what he's really facing is a confrontation with the parts of himself he's been running from. It's easier for him to enjoy surface-level connections where no one expects anything real. But when someone genuine steps in, he has to decide, either grow or go. And more often than not, if he's unready, he chooses to leave. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. Women must understand that sometimes when a man pulls away after emotional connection is formed, it's not a reflection of their worth. It's a reflection of his limitations. Your presence, your love, and your emotional honesty may be shining light on areas he hasn't yet healed. And while it might hurt to be the one left behind, know this, you weren't too much. You were simply too real for someone still living in pretend. So, never dull your light just because it reveals the shadows in someone else. The right person won't fear the mirror you hold. He'll embrace it. He'll look into it and say, "I see myself more clearly now, because of you." That's what true connection does. It grows both people, not scares one into retreat. When a man begins to lose interest after you've become emotionally attached, it's easy to turn the blame inward. You start asking yourself if you are too expressive, too open, too available. But the truth is far more liberating. His disinterest is not a reflection of your value. It is a reflection of his capacity. When someone walks away from your heart, it's not necessarily because you're too much. Often, it's because they are not enough to hold what you carry. Your depth, your emotional clarity, and your sincerity are not flaws. They are strengths, and anyone who cannot appreciate those strengths isn't equipped to stand beside them. A man who withdraws when emotions become real is someone who has reached the limit of his emotional bandwidth. You didn't break him. You didn't demand too much. You simply asked for something he couldn't give: presence, consistency, and emotional responsibility. He may have loved the idea of you, the thrill of your attention, or the surface-level connection. But when love asked him to show up fully, to reciprocate with heart and maturity, he found himself unable. That is not your fault. That is a gap in his character or readiness. The beautiful thing about emotional intimacy is that it invites two people into truth. It reveals who is ready for depth and who only pretended to be. You may feel hurt, confused, or even embarrassed that you trusted someone who walked away. But don't let their exit distort your sense of worth. Don't let it convince you that your vulnerability was the mistake. If anything, it was the *test*, and he failed, not because you failed to impress him, but because he failed to rise to your level. You must remember, there are people in this world who crave what you bring. They won't shy away from your feelings. They won't shrink when you show your heart. They won't call you too emotional or too intense. They'll call you real, refreshing, and rare. So don't waste time trying to hold onto someone who couldn't even recognize the treasure you are. Let him go with grace, not guilt. Every time a man walks away from your emotional truth, you're being redirected, not rejected. Life is clearing space for someone who is not only ready to receive you but worthy of you. So don't question your value just because someone else couldn't measure up to it. You are not too much. You are simply offering too much to someone who wasn't enough. When a man is emotionally mature and secure in himself, emotional attachment doesn't scare him, it attracts him. He doesn't see a woman's vulnerability as a burden, but as a bridge. He recognizes that when a woman opens her heart and expresses her emotions, she's offering him something sacred, and instead of retreating, he leans in. He values the honesty, the clarity, and the courage it takes to love with openness. For him, emotional connection isn't a trap, it's a treasure. He understands that intimacy is not about control or obligation. It's about safety, depth, and mutual respect. This kind of man is not intimidated by a woman who feels deeply. He welcomes it because he knows that true partnership demands emotional transparency. He knows that love without depth is empty, and that surface-level attraction eventually fades. What remains, the glue that holds people together, is the ability to connect on a soul level, and that's what an emotionally attached woman offers. Her affection is not shallow, her presence is not temporary. She's not playing games, she's offering stability, care, and intention, and a real man sees that as a rare gift. He also doesn't play guessing games. When he sees emotional investment from a woman, he doesn't run. He meets her where she is. He communicates clearly. He provides reassurance without being asked. He respects the emotional space she brings and protects it, not because he has to, but because he wants to. A man like this understands the power of feminine energy in its full expression. He doesn't seek to suppress it, he seeks to support it. That kind of emotional maturity doesn't just happen overnight. It's the result of self-work, self-awareness, and the willingness to love with integrity. And yes, this kind of man may be harder to find. But he does exist. And you'll know him not by how passionately he pursues you in the beginning, but by how consistently he shows up once your heart is involved. He won't flinch at the weight of your emotions. He won't disappear when things get serious. He'll prove that real men don't fear depth. They crave it, so don't lower your emotional standards to keep someone around. Don't pretend you're indifferent when you care deeply. The right man will never make you feel like loving him was a mistake. He will meet your emotions with his own. He will cherish what others ignored. And in his presence, you'll finally feel like you don't have to hide your heart to be accepted. You'll know you're safe to be exactly who you are. Too often, women begin to shrink themselves just to hold on to someone who was never meant to stay. They silence their feelings, laugh off their needs, pretend to be okay with less, and call it strength. But that's not strength, that's self-abandonment. When a woman starts dimming her light to make someone else comfortable, she's not protecting love, she's surrendering her worth. And love should never require that kind of sacrifice. The moment you feel the need to become less, so someone will stay, that's the moment you're already losing the most important person in the relation. Ship yourself. There's a lie that many have come to believe, that being emotionally expressive or wanting commitment makes you too much. That if you just held back more, acted more aloof, cared less, he would have stayed. But this belief only fuels cycles of emotional suppression and insecurity. It teaches women to perform instead of be present, to chase being wanted instead of feeling valued, and over time, that's exhausting. It's damaging. It disconnects you from the very parts of you that make love meaningful in the first place. The truth is, the right man will not need you to twist yourself into a quieter, simpler, smaller version of who you are. He won't require emotional games or calculated distance. He will welcome your whole self, your passion, your softness, your truth. He'll be drawn to your fire, not afraid of it. And more importantly, he'll give you the space to rise, not the pressure to shrink. That kind of love doesn't feel like a performance. It feels like peace. You cannot build a lasting connection on top of pretending. You cannot protect your heart by hiding it. The more you water yourself down for someone else, the more you dry out your own soul. But when you stand in your truth, when you love boldly without apology, something incredible happens. You stop attracting people who want to play and start attracting people who are ready to build. And yes, some will leave. But let them. Anyone who walks away because you were emotionally honest wasn't meant to stay. So hold your head high. Don't regret being real. Don't punish yourself for loving deeply. The world is full of people who are only half present, half genuine, half invested. Be the woman who refuses to be half of anything. Be whole, be visible, be emotionally honest, because the one who is meant for you will never need you to disappear in order to stay. Thank you.